In a future where humanity has spread itself amongst the stars, only to be dominated by a oppressive and frankly psychotic Terran Federation, it doesn't take a hero to see the need to escape to the stars. For the majority of the population not dosed with an array of sedatives and designer drugs designed to make you more compliant, a trip off-world will likely mean a trip on board a Federation starship to some outer colony to mine raw materials. If you live long enough to get there anyway. But deep in the void, another force grows in strength and curiosity. The computer-enthralled subjects of the system, and their fleet of highly advanced spaceships. One such craft was known as Deep Space Vehicle 2, a ship alien in concept and even more alien in design. Ownership of such a vessel may just have the influence and power to turn the tide against humanity's oppressors. But what would it be like to live there? Originally constructed by the mysterious entity known only as the System, Deep Space Vehicle 2, later known by the far more catchy designation the Liberator, was built to accommodate long-range exploration and cross-galactic travel by way of the ship's 3 nacelles, comprised of constantly recharging power banks by way of the internal ramp-scoop mass energy converters and solar energy collectors, which are then converted into energy for the ship's main drive. At standard speeds, the energy input and output would be at perfect balance, allowing the ship to traverse the galaxy at no detriment to the ship's fuel supply. The drive, however, is capable of much faster travel, with anything from standard by 2 to the stupidly fast standard by 14. These drastically increased speeds have a proportionate effect on the ship's power supply, draining the power banks far beyond the energy input and forcing the crew to find a safe planet to orbit to allow the banks a chance to replenish before the next journey.
We've been running on full power for far too long. Slipping those Federation patrols has used up all our energy reserves.
4 of our power banks are exhausted. If we had to make a run for it now, we couldn't do better than standard by 2, and we couldn't hold that for long.
Recharge time?
48 hours.
The Deep Space Vehicle's near impenetrable defense systems are also a significant drain on the ship's power supply. From the neutron blasters mounted to the front of the ship's nacelles, to the manually operated force walls, which project a hemispheric barrier around the ship's main hull that can stop up to 3 plasma bolts at any time.
Aiden, pull out the force wall.
No, wait.
Why?
It's too much of an energy drain.
Blake!
They're closing fast, Blake. Come on!
I said wait!
Blake!
Activate!
Second boat launched.
Deactivate. Track second bolt. Tracking. Power status.
70% on bank 5.
Third boat launched.
Second bolt closing. Activate. Third bolt closing. Deactivate.
Bank 5 has 40% remaining.
They'll move in closer now and strike again.
Sensors on full alert.
Are we just gonna sit here and let them shoot at us?
Yes, while they do, they're using power faster than we are. Might even things up a bit, shorten the odds anyway.
The odds on what?
Us being able to blast away through them and run.
3 plasma bolts launched and running.
Bearing directly.
Right, hang on everyone, this is going to be rough.
Don't mind rough. It's fatal, I'm not too keen on.
Thankfully, support systems such as life support and the ever-useful auto-repair system operate from a dedicated power bank, so are less likely to be affected by a sudden loss of power, though sometimes even the auto-repair systems can be stretched to their absolute limit.
We're exceeding our regenerative capacity. Banks 4 and 7 are drained. Have you checked this with Zen?
Only just noticed it.
Zen, report on the status of the energy bank instrumentation.
Instruments are reading accurately.
Then why the massive power drain?
Auto repair circuits are working at maximum capacity. Damage exceeds rectification capability.
Despite its vast size, the Deep Space Vehicle's livable area is relatively small, consisting of a single deck containing 24 crew cabins, 2 rest areas, a medical suite, and a range of strong rooms and storage areas, including at least 5 inner holds connected to a central hold transfer area, running the width of the ship but marked by a pair of external airlocks for collection of space samples and smaller ships. Built for function, not comfort, the ship's interior consists mostly of a uniform metallic grey, lit with a constant white light in all but the private cabins of the crew, which at least allow for some slightly more comfortable lighting and at least a place to rest the crew's head. Though this is about where the luxuries end for those on board the ship. Even so-called crew and rest areas are little more than a collection of awkward seats and couches. Though one such crew area does have the advantage of an actual window to the outside universe, so that's something. But beyond the lack of creature comforts, the system's advanced technology on board the deep space vehicle truly come into their own when we consider the teleporter.
You got it worked out yet?
Educated guesses, I can't be certain.
Now's the time to see how educated your guesses are.
I still think this is a stupid risk.
Which I'm taking. So let's get on with it. Give me 4 minutes. After that, start making educated guesses as to how to get me back again.
Good luck.
Right, Evan? Let's get started.
Housed in its own section just off the flight deck, the system's teleportation technology is leagues ahead of the Federation's own research, though appears to operate in a similar way to they would expect. The use of the element aquitar is important, though the reasoning behind this is not fully understood outside of the system's databanks. Though it can be deduced that the aquitar crystal is necessary to create a distortion in space-time to allow almost instantaneous travel.
Radio signals. Trouble was, it seldom worked.
And on living matter, it never worked. Put a living creature in one end, take a dead creature out of the other, or nothing at all.
So you think that's what all this is for? Matter transmission?
Well, these bracelets contain aquitar, or something very like it.
The process involves the use of a teleportation bracelet, which, when worn, allows the wearer to be teleported to a maximum range of 1,000 spatials, which roughly translates to the distance between a ship in orbit of a planet. These bracelets also served as a tracking beacon when necessary, and a communications device to maintain real-time communication between the ship and those on away missions.
Villa, pursuit ship's closing on you. Villa, full alert and get us up fast. Move it! They're right on top of you.
They also served as a life support system to offset the trauma of being exploded into a million atoms and blasted along a medium pulse carrier beam to their destination. What these bracelets could not do was serve as a weapon in case of hostile life on the target planet. But thankfully, the system of beam radiation for ranged combat, as well as deliver intense pain when pressed against an enemy.
Force level 3.
These handguns would be designated to individual members of the crew, as to take more than one at a time would cause the potential user intense burning pain.
Single function isomorphic response.
What?
I think he means it'll only let us have 1 gun each.
Although, this doesn't seem to factor in when you're just carrying a whole bunch of them. One would assume this rule was in fact ordained by the ship's computer, and logic prevails when someone is just carrying them and not intending to actually use them. Now, speaking of the ship's computer,
The Liberator is in stationary orbit 1,000 spatials above the planet's surface.
I see.
The Liberator.
Got that from me. It was something I was thinking.
Your thought was acceptant.
What is it, Blake? What's going on?
Well, the computers seem to be making decisions for themselves. They're resisting all interference.
Well, that's not possible.
Haven?
It is if you think of the ship as a living entity, with massive networks of electronics acting as a nervous system.
All linked into a central computer.
The brain.
conceptually alien in design, the deep space vehicle construct was designed around a central computer core, which in turn controlled the computers that controlled the various subsystems on board the ship. This central master computer was known only as Zen.
Zen, take us into orbit as close as possible to the planet's surface. As close as possible, Zen. The orbit could decay in 48 hours.
Confirmed. The parameters were anticipated.
I get the distinct feeling I offended Zen's professional pride, then.
It's just a machine, Blake.
And he should know.
Well, Avon is the expert.
That's not what I meant.
Now, while the ship's crew is capable of piloting the deep space vehicle, virtually every action and system is enhanced and guided by the ship's myriad of computer systems overseen by Zen. A little course adjustment here, a little speed boost there, and the ship will always fly at its best. Now, should the computer systems or their master system fail, the simple act of piloting the ship suddenly becomes an extremely difficult and dangerous act.
Blake, there's something we haven't thought of.
What?
Systems instability. We have never operated without the auxiliary computers before.
You mean they've been compensating for things like their power surge?
They've made every minor adjustment that the systems require, and the chances are that they are now going to require a lot.
Because computer control is part
of the basic design concept.
Damn.
Housed within several computer cores located throughout the ship, Zen's main interface was located on the ship's flight deck, where it could operate under voice command by the registered crew, with various safeguards built in to restrict computer operation to any intruders or passengers on board the ship without clear authorization.
Let's get on with it, shall we? Introduce yourself to Zen.
I am Servalan, President and Supreme Commander of the Terran Federation.
Record her voice pattern, Zen. From now on, you will respond to her commands. On this one condition.
No condition.
Sorry, too late. That instruction has to be completed by me. Unless, of course, you care to dismantle Zen and reorganize the program. I should warn you, I'm the only person in the galaxy who can put it back together again.
Please complete the instruction.
Wait, I'll make the condition.
It won't cut much ice with Zen.
With these voice commands, Zen was able to operate the deep space vehicle's navigation systems, set a course and follow it without any physical input from the crew. This was thanks to Zen's enormous database of astrographic and planetary information, hinting of the system's superior intelligence on the Federation and wider galactic community. But Zen was far more than an autopilot system and Wikipedia. Oh yes, Zen was itself an intelligence capable of making decisions and, most infuriating of all, keeping secrets from the crew.
It didn't answer any of your questions. More than that, it deliberately ignored them. A computer can't have a will of its own.
You'd better tell Zen that.
Yes, should Zen decide that it would be better off remaining silent on a topic, well, you're not going to get anything out of Zen anytime soon.
Attention. Liberator is entering prohibited zone. All primaries and auxiliary computer functions are now aborted.
Zen!
Blake, the screen's gone dead.
Well, check it.
Definitely dead.
Though not all of Zen's decisions follow a direct logic, the majority of its intelligence is dedicated to ensuring the survival of the ship itself, and more often than not, the crew on board. With a more daring captain, however, this can cause some complications, where Zen would take the safe option rather than roll the hard 6 and attempt some sort of dashing and brilliant maneuver.
Zen, set navigation computers for direct route to Space Laboratory XK-72, speed standard by 6.
Rejected.
You cannot reject a direct command.
Justify that rejection, please.
Your command reduces to an order to self-destruct. This runs counter to Prime Directive.
Zen's limitations don't just stop there. For whatever reason, Zen is incapable of interfering with crew activities, even when said crew are actively sabotaging the ship. Though Zen does appear to have control over the ship's internal security system, designed to ward off would-be intruders on the ship's flight deck, by first reading the subject's minds and presenting them with a tempting lure before death via contact.
What was it?
I don't know.
I saw my mother. So real. Then something terrible, a nightmare. But it wasn't my mother.
I saw my brother. It used him like bait. I had to go closer.
And if you had, it would have killed you.
Despite Zen's obviously alien design, it was also capable of being overridden by more advanced technologies. Introducing Aurak.
Transit complete. Liberator is in stationary orbit within teleport range of the planet Aristo. All circuits are. All circuits are. All circuits are.
All circuits are.
Zen!
All circuits are.
Designed by Federation exile and super genius Ensor, Aurak was designed to be the greatest artificial intelligence known to man.
Careful, careful. Put him over here. You should be able to carry him between you.
This is Aurak.
100 million for that.
Is it a computer?
It most certainly is not. It is a brain, a genius. It has a mind that can draw information from every computer containing one of my cells. Aurak has access to the sum total of all the knowledge of all the known worlds.
You mean it can draw information from any other computer without a direct link?
Precisely that, yes.
Acting as a disembodied brain within a transparent box, it was able to instantaneously access the tarial cells of other computers to either access information, control them remotely, or, in some cases, reach out and to use them to assist in its own calculations.
Aurak,
Yes, Avon.
any progress with the booster problem?
There has been no reply yet.
What do you mean, no reply?
I passed the program to computers specializing in engineering design.
You mean you can't handle it yourself?
The art of leadership is delegation.
The method in which Aurak would reach out to these distant machines is via a broadcast signal through a different dimension, a sort of Wi-Fi through warp space. The same dimension, it turns out, that telepathy operates through. This can mean some weird wobbly crossover between organic psychic powers and artificial digital powers, but that's a topic for another day.
If Aurak has a fault, it is a tendency to give more information than is requested.
Or less information than requested.
But seldom just the information that is requested.
With infinite intelligence comes infinite curiosity, and Aurak's sense of wonderment is capable of leading its fellow crew into destruction. But then, if you're not willing to fly into a black hole, what kind of adventurer are you?
What is so fascinating about this particular black hole?
All black holes are fascinating. Their gravitational pull is so massive that not even light can escape from them. A cubic inch of black hole matter can weigh 1,000,000 tons.
We know all that, and so do you. So why this particular black hole?
The absence of X-ray emissions. Normally colliding particles in the vicinity of a black hole emit X-rays.
So you decided you would like a closer look.
The absence of X-rays highlighted a gap in my knowledge of the universe which cannot be tolerated.
So without telling us, you reprogram the navigation computers?
I have noticed that the occupants of this spacecraft have a lamentable lack of interest in the more fascinating aspects of the universe. You must excuse me, I have many observations to make.
Aurak's intelligence doesn't stop there. By being able to control its own very atoms, Aurak's powers include the ability to create a stabilized atomic implosion, reducing its operational size to 1/8 of its normal mass for up to 2 hours, somehow. But one thing's for sure, with a personality like Aurak's, it's a good thing it needs a key to activate.
But you do know how it worked?
Of course I know how it worked.
Well, then you will tell me now.
There seems little point in wasting time on such an explanation, since you would be incapable of understanding it.
Don't be insolent!
A statement of fact cannot be insolent. Besides, insolence implies an emotional relationship, which does not and could not exist between us.
And most importantly of all, a key to make it shut the hell up.
I must insist you ask specific questions.
Oh, shut up, you arrogant pile of junk.
Many years ago, 3 worlds were locked in fierce, endless combat. Sensing there would be no end to the everlasting war, one of the 3 worlds developed what would be later known as the System. This system took control of the computer systems of all 3 worlds, effectively ending the brutal conflict and condemning the free worlds to slavery in the employ of the all-knowing computer intelligence. Located now in the giant circular space station known as Space World in Sector 12. It is from here that the system commanded its slave drones and monitored its ever-increasing space fleet, from the relatively small patrol ships to the vast and technologically superior deep space vehicles. These deep space vehicles would have been operated by several slave drones commanded by the augmented female servants of the system, known as the Alters.
The pursuit craft have made contact and have initiated all programmed functions. Assemble the assault group and prepare for transference.
Acknowledged.
While their mission was mostly unknown, there are a number of clues on board the ship as to the actual working life of a deep space vehicle. With only 6 crew needed to pilot the ship, the 26 personnel cabins on board imply either a substantial rotation of crew over 3 shifts, or space for a number of armed soldiers for military operations, or more specific mission specialists for more covert operations out in the wider galaxy. Of course, such specialists would need a substantial wardrobe in order to blend in with a wide range of civilizations.
What do you think?
I'm glad to see you haven't been wasting your time on frivolities. Where did you get the clothes?
I found a room full of them down there. Why don't you go and have a look?
Perhaps I will, just out of curiosity.
Callie, what do you think of the outfit?
Good shot, Avon.
I was aiming for his head.
Jenna, sorry to wake you, but I think you better get down here.
What are you doing? Warming up to cutting each other's throats?
1 minute I'm all right, and then it comes over me again. You've obviously got a fever. Come on, I'll get you to your cabin.
You claim you can kill me. You better get on with it. Make me die. There's nothing else you can make me do. You look so beautiful when you're angry.
Whether these outfits were designed or stolen, the predominance for more primitive forms of clothing goes some way to explain the type of civilizations that the system would be dropping in on during their intergalactic continuing mission. To secure safe passage during these adventures, it should also be noted that Deep Space Vehicle 2 also features at least one strong room, brimming with treasure.
You found it then?
Do you know how much is in there? Millions. Millions. And this is just a sample. There must be almost as much wealth in that single room as there is in the entire Federation banking system. Look at it.
You buy a lot of freedom with this.
You could buy anything with this, anything at all.
While it's not strictly known what purpose these valuables would have, or indeed if these were created by the system or taken from worlds on their journey, the sheer volume of these valuables are enough to suggest that the system were extremely well equipped when dealing with more primitive, greedy species out there in the cold void of space.
If you hand over this ship, you'll lose a fortune.
Me? How can I lose?
Oh, I'd expect a share.
Of what?
300 million credits, give or take the odd 10 million.
Well equipped being the operative word. Beyond the trinkets and costumes, the system are by no means a peaceful race, as evidenced by the presence of the handheld weapons placed strategically on board the ship. Designed to be wielded by one individual at a time, these handheld weapons are capable of effective ranged combat, and also by inflicting agonising pain to the system's enemies at close range, making them not only effective guns, but also effective for managing and directing the slaves captured and sent to work in the mines and refineries of the dreaded space world.
Sustained. Level 5. Ah! Release. You were warned. A third time and I will command destruction level. Move!
But while the working life of the deep space vehicles remain somewhat shrouded in mystery, the life of one such vessel is much less of a secret. Under control of Blake and his crew, Deep Space Vehicle 2, now known as the Liberator, took on a whole new role in galactic affairs. Most importantly, the Liberator became not only the mobile headquarters of Blake's dirty half-dozen, but it became a symbol for resistance against the deeply sinister Federation. One of the major reasons for Blake's success with the Liberator is its ability to reach speeds way beyond that of the Federation's fleet.
We've lost them.
So much for Federation pursuit ships.
At least we know we can outrun them.
Outrun them? In this we can outstroll them.
Should speed not be enough, the Liberator's firepower and extreme durability makes it virtually invulnerable to all but the largest of Federation fleets.
4 plasma bolts, launched and running.
Hang on, everybody!
So even if the Federation does manage to catch up with the Liberator, or corner her somehow, the vastly superior system technology means not only is the hull virtually impenetrable, but the ship's powered force walls and neutron blasters make the Liberator a vast weapon, capable of absolute destruction should the crew wish to use it for that. Thankfully, the Liberator was spared this dark fate, although regardless, it was soon recognised as a symbol of strength for those who resisted the Federation across the known galaxy. Not only does this make the Liberator a beacon of hope, but it also paints a big old red target on the ship's hull, one the Federation is desperate to shut down for good. Because of this, much of the working life on board the Liberator was spent, well, running away.
You are outnumbered and at a tactical disadvantage. If you surrender your ship...
Do we fight?
Certainly not. We run. Zen, course 011, speed, standard by 6. Get us out of here.
Yes, the ship may be capable of absolute destruction, but that wasn't the main objective. Thanks to the onboard treasure vault, negotiation and treaties were a possible way of securing alliances with the independent players and enemies of the Federation.
But I'm just an independent businessman.
Are you sure?
Making use of the extremely rare teleportation technology on board the Liberator also lent the crew an unusually effective method of not only arriving on a world beneath the nose of the Federation, but also providing the crew the ability to perform hit-and-run style tactics on Federation outposts.
All you've got to do with these is find a metal surface and they'll stick fast.
Right.
They're taking too long.
That's the trouble with heroics, they seldom run to schedule.
In short then, working life on board the Liberator was one of fast random attacks, zipping across the galaxy to keep a step ahead of their enemies. A far cry to the likely far more hands-off approach to exploration that the deep space vehicles were likely built to do. With all that stress that comes with a life on the run, stopping only to skirmish a Federation outpost here and there, well, I'm willing to bet you're going to want a decent method of kicking back and relaxing while you're off duty. In its life as the system's Deep Space Vehicle 2, those on board would have been little more than computer drones serving as the hands, eyes and ears of the master computer system. As such, recreation was not exactly a priority for the system. Indeed, if the cold white walls were anything to go by, not even decoration was a priority for the cold computer minds of the Liberator's original owners. Alas, this doesn't bode well for any new, more active-minded crew coming to board the Liberator after its release from the system.
We need rest soon.
Absolutely right. What I wouldn't give for a week at one of the old Federation rest centers. Sensory ecstasy hours, pleasure machines. Oh.
You have to accept these findings.
I accept them. But where are we going to find a centre that'll take us in for a month's rest and rehabilitation?
Well, that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, what's the point of being famous if you can't get a last-minute booking?
If stopping off for a bit of R&R is out of the question, the only recreation available is what the crew brings aboard with them. Knowledge of relaxation and exercises may help, and would certainly help take the crew's mind off the dangers they experience on a daily basis. Though, admittedly, it's not going to be for everyone. No, if you're looking for some genuine distraction while living aboard the Liberator, you're going to want to pull out some stone-cold classic board games. While it's highly unlikely these games would have been on board the ship originally, it doesn't take a genius to know the importance of picking something up while off-world to while away those long hours. One such game, which is most certainly not the Parker Brothers' classic Monopoly, is a particular favourite for the crew, and most definitely helps if you know how to play.
That was it, go on, you've got her. What are you waiting for?
Well, I'm not sure, it's risky.
Make the move, you'll wipe her out.
Are you sure you can't read my mind, Kelly?
Of course I can't. Even if I could, I wouldn't. That would be cheating.
Go on, make the move. Take my word for it. Remember, I play this game right up to Galactic Master standards.
Well, all right, if you're sure.
Just do it. Trust me. Let's see you get out of that, then.
My game in 9,721 moves.
Galactic Master. Thanks a lot.
Wasn't my fault. Kelly responded with the wrong move. If she made the right one, she'd have lost that game.
But of all the board games out there, one classic seems to reign high. I'm talking, of course, about chess. Dating back to at least the 7th century AD, chess seems to have taken on a new lease of life during the reign of the Federation. Computer chess units were treasured possessions by many, no doubt thanks to the military strategy element of the game.
Checkmate. 6 times in a row I've beaten it. Supposed to be the best chess computer available. Cost me a fortune.
But beyond this, chess is not only a good distraction for whiling away the hours between destinations, but in many areas of the galaxy, it's a blood sport.
The rules of speed chess are très simple. Simple. Each contestant has 5 seconds to make his move. If he exceeds that time, tant pis. He loses a pawn.
If Thrills wins or forces a draw, then he wins 1 million credits, which I myself will present him. If he loses, he will never need money again. His chair being connected to an electrocution key. And if the Clute wins, he has the right to press that key. That is the Clute's only reward. Ah!
Pretty fun, I think you'll agree, until you find yourself in the challenger's seat.
What's going on? What am I doing here?
Healer, the Clute offers you the white pieces and the advantage of the first move.
That drink? I've been tricked.
Did you say so?
I don't want to play.
My friend, it is too late.
Say what you like about the endless and unforgiving life on board the Heart of the Resistance.
Though it can be boring as hell, sometimes you're just better off hacking onto a comm signal, sitting back, pouring a drink, and tuning into a visicast of some distant gladiator battle or another. Unless you're lucky enough to find some downtime on a distant planet.
What is it, Villa?
Dana and I are ready to come up.
So soon?
There's nothing here. Everyone's gone home. Everything's closed.
No joyous multitude?
No joyous anybody. I've seen more life in a prison blanket.
What about Avon?
Gone to visit a sick friend.
A sick friend?
That's what he said. And let's face it, any friend of Avon's got to be sick, right?
With the Liberator designed to accommodate glorified computer drones, or humanoid slaves at a push, One thing the ship designers didn't need to worry about was the capacity for the ship to provide luxurious 3-course meals. Instead, food is limited to basic ration packs, occasionally stretching to something as luxurious as a bowl of miscellaneous crunchy snacks, but not much beyond it. The obvious advantage to this is that, in combination with the onboard recycling system, there will be enough supplies on board to keep an individual member of the crew alive for 1,000 years. With an estimated 24 members of crew on a fully staffed system spacecraft, we can safely assume each mission could extend as long as 40 years before needing to return to a safe place to resupply. When we're dealing with a smaller, more human and far more fragile crew, the lack of variety in foodstuffs can be an issue. Though acquiring supplies in human colonies is still an option. Food is one thing, but drinks are another. The crew of the Liberator, dicing with death on a daily basis, can leave emotions frayed and extreme exhaustion, both mentally and physically. With few recreational activities available to the crew, one short-term solution to this is a mysterious green liquid, said to be a cocktail made up of 1 part adrenaline to 2/3 soma, a muscle relaxant and anti-anxiety medication likely part of the ship's medical supplies found on board.
Here, go on. Adrenaline and soma. It's very relaxing.
No thanks. I need my wits about me.
If you say so.
While this certainly does the job, overconsumption can lead to its own problems, so use should be limited where possible.
But what about the old adrenaline and soma?
Well, that's the trouble. We're practically living on it. What we need are some natural relaxants. Non-stress situations for a start. You know, we still have nervous systems.
It may be for this reason that certain members of the crew have been known to turn to alcohol where the soma cocktail is unavailable.
Stay awake.
Of course.
And sober.
That was uncalled for. I only drink to be sociable. Cheers, Aurak.
Likely collected from a human colony somewhere along the Liberator's journey. The fact that this alcohol seems oddly similar to soma, I'm sure, is just one big coincidence, though the name for whatever it is Vela seems to drink remains a mystery.
It is green.
In conclusion then, life aboard the system's deep space vehicle wouldn't be a luxury cruise. Frankly, it's lucky it even has beds that look half comfortable. But wielding a ship like this goes beyond just any old cruiser. It's a statement. In the hands of the system, that statement was that no matter what you throw at us, the system will always triumph. It will always be back to finish the task, and its enemies won't even know who it was that attacked them in the first place. In the hands of Blake, and later Avon's motley crew, the Liberator became a symbol of hope and triumph against the Federation, able to escape the Federation's pursuit ships at the push of a button, and capable of wiping out any persistent targets.
Fire main blasters.
The Liberator was virtually able to launch a full-scale campaign against the Federation simply by being able to cross the galaxy in fractions of time it would take for the Federation to send reinforcements. So long as your glorious leader doesn't get you killed in the meantime.
Blake,
where's Gan?
Gan's dead.
A space weapon, that's kind of all it is. Oh sure, Zen may be a super intelligent computer at the heart of the ship, but a computer it remains. With no creature comforts, barely any space for recreation, a whole load of weird wobbly technology one wouldn't like to linger too close to, there just isn't any room for a casual member of crew. Adrenaline and soma is the closest you'll get to rest and relaxation, although it's most certainly in your power to set a course for the nearest resort world and be there in the time it takes to boil the kettle. Still, at least you'll be able to wage war and burn yourself out in a range of luxury clothes. And hell, you'll never need a loan, not with the hundreds of millions of credits worth of treasure in the vault. But with great power comes great responsibility. Letting the ship fall into the hands of someone less lovely than you would be an absolute disaster. Better hope you have a backup plan if it does.
Manual operation. Set course for the planet Earth.
Computed and laid in.
Main drive. Maximum power.
Let's see if we can't find a way off this planet. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, that'll do it. A massive thank you for those getting to the end of this pretty enormous old video. A massive thanks to the Horizon Club and their tremendous Blake 7 technical manual for many of the details found in this video. Take care of yourselves. Now get us out of here, standard by 6. Oh, and like and subscribe, please.